The human patrol ship moved slowly through the broken edge of the star system. Shattered metal, burned hulls, and frozen bodies drifted in silence. This place had once been a trade route. Now it was a graveyard. Captain Aaron Hale stood on the bridge with his hands behind his back. He did not like places like this, not because of danger, but because of what they reminded him of. War always left stories unfinished. "Scanners show faint life signs," the sensor officer said. "Multiple species, one transport hull still intact enough to board." Aaron nodded. "We don't leave survivors behind, prep a rescue team." The crew moved quickly. Humans had learned long ago that space did not wait. If someone was alive now, they might not be alive in 10 minutes. A boarding shuttle detached and glided toward the damaged alien transport. The hull was scorched, symbols burned away, and parts of it were cracked open like broken bones. Inside, emergency lights flickered weakly. Lieutenant Mark Rivera led the rescue team inside. His boots echoed softly as he moved through the dark corridors. He had seen many alien ships, but this one felt wrong. Too quiet, too careful, as if fear itself still lived here. They found survivors gathered in a cargo chamber, around 20 aliens huddled together. Most were tall, armored beings with decorated collars and rank markings. Some were wounded, some looked angry, some looked relieved. And then there was one who stood apart. She was smaller than the others, wrapped in a plain gray cloak. No symbols, no jewelry, no visible weapons. She kept her head lowered and her hands folded calmly in front of her. "She's alive," the medic whispered, surprised. "Heart rate steady, no panic response." Mark noticed the others standing slightly in front of her like a wall. It was subtle, but it was there. Not protection exactly, more like habit. "We're here to help," Mark said slowly, speaking in galactic common. "You'll be safe aboard our ship." Most of the aliens reacted immediately, talking at once. Some demanded priority treatment, others complained about human delay. One even refused to move without armed escort. The quiet one said nothing. When the team began escorting survivors out, the higher-ranking aliens moved first. They did not look back. The small female waited until the very end, as if she expected to be forgotten. Mark noticed. "Hey," he said gently. "You too." She looked up then. Her eyes were large, dark, and steady, not afraid, not confused, just tired. "Thank you," she said in clear, careful common. Her accent was perfect. That surprised him. On the human ship, the survivors were placed in the medical bay. The doctors worked quickly, moving from one injured alien to another. Rank seemed to matter to the aliens, but not to the humans. Treatment was based on condition, not status. The small female was placed on a basic medical bed near the wall. She did not complain. She did not ask questions. She watched everything. Dr. Lin scanned her vitals. Minor dehydration, stress markers elevated but controlled, no serious injuries. "You okay staying here?" Mark asked. "Yes," she replied. "I am grateful." Grateful was not a word many rescued aliens used. Mark smiled slightly and nodded before moving on. Over the next few days, the human ship traveled toward the nearest stable system. The alien survivors stayed together in one section, often arguing quietly among themselves. Orders were given. Blame was assigned. Politics returned faster than health. The small female remained separate. She spent most of her time near the observation window, watching the stars. Sometimes Mark saw her helping medics translate older alien scripts. Sometimes he saw her assisting injured survivors without being asked. Once, during a systems check, the ship suffered a power fluctuation. Alarms sounded briefly. Engineers rushed to stabilize the core. In the chaos, the small female calmly approached a human technician. "The secondary relay is misaligned," she said softly. "If you adjust the flow manually, it will stabilize." The technician blinked. "How do you know that?" She paused. "I learned it." The advice worked. Word spread quietly among the crew. The alien civilian was unusually knowledgeable. Too knowledgeable. Captain Hale requested a report. "She hasn't claimed any rank," Mark explained. "No markings, no demands. But she understands ship systems, military protocol, and 3 trade languages fluently." Aaron frowned. "Ask her who she is." Mark nodded, but when he approached her later, she met his question with silence. "I am no one important," she said at last. "Please don't make me important." That answer stayed with him. As the days passed, tension grew among the alien survivors. Some openly questioned why the humans allowed a low-status female to move freely. One demanded she be reassigned to menial quarters. Captain Hale refused. On my ship, everyone is a guest, he said calmly, and everyone follows the same rules. The argument ended there. One night, Mark found the small female standing alone in the corridor, staring at a closed bulkhead. You okay? He asked. She hesitated. When we arrive, what will happen to us? You'll be returned to your people, he said, safely. Her hands tightened slightly. And if someone does not wish to be found, Mark studied her face. That depends. Are they a criminal? No. Then they can speak for themselves. She nodded slowly, as if weighing something heavy. Later, the human ship received a priority transmission. The alien homeworld had detected the survivors' signal. A royal vessel was on its way to receive them. The reaction among the alien survivors was immediate. Some straightened their posture, others practiced formal speech. Panic and excitement mixed together. The small female went very still. Her breathing slowed, her eyes lowered, Mark noticed. When the royal vessel docked, the difference between human and alien culture became clear. The alien ship was enormous, shining with ceremonial light. Armed guards lined the docking bay. Symbols of authority covered every surface. A formal reception was demanded. Captain Hale agreed, but on human terms, no kneeling, no disarming, mutual respect. The alien guards accepted reluctantly. The survivors were escorted through a massive hall toward the throne chamber. Human officers followed at a respectful distance, observing quietly. The throne room was vast. Columns rose high into shadow. Banners flowed like frozen fire. At the far end sat the alien queen. She was tall, radiant, and powerful. Her presence filled the room without effort. One by one, the rescued aliens stepped forward. Names were announced. Titles confirmed. Gratitude expressed loudly and dramatically. The queen listened, nodded, and spoke words of relief. Then at the back of the group, the small female stopped walking. Mark felt something tighten in his chest. Go on, he whispered. She shook her head faintly. Before anyone could speak, the queen's eyes moved. She froze. Her breath caught sharply, her hands trembled. The room fell silent. The queen stood slowly, staring past the titled survivors, past the guards, past the humans, directly at the small female in the gray cloak. No, the queen whispered. The small female lowered her head. The queen stepped forward, then another step. Then, to the shock of everyone present, she fell to her knees. A sound broke from her throat, not command, not anger, but grief. My child, the queen cried, my daughter. The room erupted in stunned gasps. The humans did not move. They did not speak. They simply watched as the most powerful ruler in the system wept on the floor before the quiet alien they had rescued without knowing her name. And Mark realized with sudden clarity that humanity had done something dangerous without even trying. They had treated a princess like a person. Silence filled the throne room, heavy and unreal. The sound of the queen's weeping echoed softly against stone and metal, and no one dared to move. The small female stood frozen. Her shoulders trembled, but she did not step forward. She did not run. She simply stood there, head lowered, as if she had already accepted judgment. The queen lifted her face slowly. Tears marked the glowing lines of her cheeks. Her voice shook when she spoke again. I searched the stars for you, she said. I believed you dead. I buried an empty casket and ruled an empire with half a heart. The princess finally looked up. Her eyes shone, not with pride, but pain. I did not know whom to trust, she said softly. After the betrayal, after the ambush, I was afraid. The word betrayal sent a ripple through the room. Alien nobles whispered. Guards tightened their grip on their weapons. This was not a story meant for public ears. The queen rose unsteadily to her feet. She dismissed the guards with a sharp motion of her hand. They hesitated, then obeyed. No one questioned her now. She stepped closer to her daughter, stopping only an arm's length away. Why did you not return? The queen asked, her voice quieter now. Why hide among civilians? Why let yourself be treated as nothing? The princess swallowed, because nothing was safer than being known. Captain Hale watched carefully. He had stood before kings and warlords before, but this moment felt different. This was not politics. This was a family breaking open in front of an entire galaxy. She traveled with us as a survivor, Captain Hale said calmly. We did not know who she was. The queen turned her gaze to him. The weight of it pressed like gravity. And yet, she said, you protected her. Yes, he replied simply, because she needed protection. That answer seemed to strike something deep within the queen. Her posture shifted, her voice softened. You did not demand her identity. No, he said, we don't do that. The alien nobles murmured again, confused. Status meant everything to them. The idea of ignoring rank was almost offensive. The princess spoke before the queen could reply. "They treated me kindly," she said, "not because of who I am, but because I was there." She looked at Mark, who stood stiffly near the entrance. Their eyes met briefly. He felt suddenly uncomfortable, like he had done something wrong without knowing it. "They fed me," the princess continued. "They healed others before themselves. They did not ask for reward. They did not ask for loyalty." Her voice grew steadier with each word. "I chose to trust them." The queen closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had changed. Grief was still there, but now it shared space with understanding. "Then I owe them more than thanks," the queen said. A formal audience was declared, but the mood was no longer ceremonial. The survivors were escorted away. The throne room was cleared until only the queen, the princess, a small group of advisors, and the human delegation remained. The princess stood beside her mother now, but she did not wear royal colors. She still wore the gray cloak. The queen noticed. "You may wear your crown again," she said gently. The princess shook her head. "Not yet." The advisors exchanged uneasy looks, but the queen raised her hand. "Let her speak." The princess took a breath. "There are those within the empire who wanted me gone. If I return openly now, before the truth is known, more blood will follow." Captain Hale leaned forward slightly. "You're saying the attack wasn't random?" "No," the princess replied. "It was planned. The convoy was lured into hostile space. Communications were jammed. Escorts were delayed." The room darkened with tension. The queen's voice turned cold. "Names?" "Not yet," the princess said. "I need proof and time." One advisor scoffed. "Time is a luxury you lost when you vanished." Captain Hale spoke before the queen could respond. "She survived because she adapted," he said. "That's not weakness." The advisor looked offended, but the queen nodded slowly. "Humans," she said, studying them. "Your species is young, your reach is limited, and yet you act as if the galaxy owes you nothing." "We learned that lesson early," Hale replied. "The universe doesn't care who you are." The princess smiled faintly at that. Over the next days, negotiations began. The official story released to the public was simple. The princess had survived an attack and was recovering under protection. Details were withheld, but rumors moved faster than official statements. Across the empire, questions spread. Why had the princess returned with humans? Why had the queen knelt before her? Why were humans suddenly being granted access to restricted space? Within the human ship, the crew felt the shift immediately. Alien guards now saluted them. Supplies arrived unrequested. Doors opened without delay. Mark felt uneasy. "They're treating us different," he said to Dr. Lin. "They always do when power shifts," she replied. The princess continued to visit the human ship often. She walked its corridors freely, greeting crew members by name. She listened more than she spoke. One evening, she joined Mark near the observation window. "Do you regret rescuing us?" she asked quietly. "No," he said without hesitation. "Even now, especially now," she nodded. "You didn't change when you learned who I was?" Mark shrugged. "You're still the same person." That answer made her look away quickly. Trouble came sooner than expected. An unscheduled fleet entered the system, ships without clear markings, armed, organized. The queen received the alert and went silent. "They move like they know our defenses," one commander reported. The princess stiffened. "They do." The implication was clear. The traitors had acted. The queen turned to Captain Hale. "I will not ask you to fight my war." Hale met her gaze. "You didn't." But humanity did not wait to be asked. Human ships moved into defensive positions instinctively, not because of orders, but because danger was present, because someone needed to stand. When the hostile fleet broadcast its demand, it was not to the queen, it was to the humans. "Return the asset," the message said, "and you may leave unharmed." Asset. The princess closed her eyes. Captain Hale's reply was immediate. "She's not an asset," he said. "She's a person under our protection." The response from the hostile fleet was cold. "Then you will share her fate." The first shots were fired moments later. The battle was chaos. Alien weapons were powerful, precise, and overwhelming. Human ships were fewer, smaller, but faster. Humans did not fight to win, they fought to delay. Every second mattered. Mark manned a defensive turret, hands steady, heart racing. He had never fought an alien fleet before, but the principle was the same: protect the ship. Protect the people inside. On the bridge, the princess watched the battle unfold on tactical displays. "They're not retreating," she whispered. "They're buying time." "For what?" the queen asked. The princess swallowed. "For me." Something broke inside the queen then. She had ruled empires, she had ordered wars, but she had never seen anyone fight for her daughter without knowing her worth. "Open all channels," the queen commanded. Her face appeared across the system. "This is your queen," she said. "Stand down. Any ship that continues this attack will be declared enemy of the crown." Some ships hesitated, others did not. The humans held the line long enough for loyal fleets to arrive, long enough for the truth to spread. When the battle finally ended, wreckage drifted through space once more. But this time, the survivors were not forgotten. The princess walked through the damaged human ship afterward. She saw burned panels, injured crew, exhausted faces. They smiled at her anyway. She stopped in the center of the corridor and bowed, deeply, to everyone. "I will never forget this," she said, and for the first time since her return, she believed she could stand as herself again. The aftermath of the battle did not feel like victory. It felt like exhaustion wrapped in silence. Ships drifted slowly through the damaged system, collecting survivors, marking wreckage, and sending quiet reports back to their worlds. The human ship bore scars across its hull. Inside, emergency lights glowed softly as repair crews worked without complaint. No one celebrated. They simply did what needed to be done. The princess moved among them again, no longer hiding but not yet wearing royal colors. She helped where she could. She carried tools. She brought water. She sat beside the injured and listened. Some of the crew felt awkward at first. She was a princess now, everyone knew it. But she spoke to them the same way she always had. Captain Hale watched her from the bridge. "She hasn't changed," he said quietly. "Doctor." Lynn nodded. "Power doesn't always reveal people. Sometimes it just removes the mask." The queen arrived aboard the human ship 2 days later. She did not come with a throne or ceremony. She walked the corridors slowly, seeing everything with her own eyes. She stopped where the hull had been breached, where humans had sealed the gap with emergency plating while under fire. "They could have retreated," she said. "They didn't," Hale replied. The queen turned to him fully. "Why?" he thought for a moment. "Because someone would have been left behind." The queen closed her eyes. A formal council was called soon after. This time it was not held in the alien capital, but aboard a neutral station. Representatives from multiple species attended. News of the battle had spread quickly, and the story had changed with every retelling. Humans had stood between an empire and its traitors, not for territory, not for payment, not for power, for one person. The princess stood beside the queen during the council. She wore simple robes unadorned, but her posture was steady. She spoke clearly without fear. She revealed everything. The ambush, the betrayal, the names of those involved, the proof she had gathered quietly during her time in hiding. Messages, codes, patterns of movement. The council listened in stunned silence. When the traitors were named, some tried to deny it. Others fled. A few bowed their heads in shame. Justice followed swiftly but without spectacle. When the council turned its attention to the humans, the room shifted again. "You intervened in an internal conflict," one delegate said carefully. "That is unusual." Captain Hale stood. "We responded to an attack on our people." "And the princess?" another asked. "She asked us for nothing," Hale replied. "We chose to protect her." The queen rose then. "My daughter lives because humans do not measure worth by crown or blood," she said. "They treated her as a person when even her own people failed her." She stepped forward, and to the surprise of the council, she bowed. "Humanity has my trust," she said, "and my alliance." The declaration echoed across the chamber. In the days that followed, treaties were signed, trade routes opened. Military cooperation began. Humanity's position in the galaxy changed almost overnight, but among the humans little changed. They returned to their patrols. They repaired their ships. They continued rescuing survivors from forgotten places. The princess visited Earth before returning fully to her duties. She walked through human cities, guided quietly, seeing crowds that did not bow or kneel. She saw children playing, arguing, laughing without fear. She liked that. Before she left, she met Mark one last time aboard the ship that had first rescued her. "You gave me a future," she said. "We just picked you up," he replied. She smiled. That was enough. She paused, then added softly, "If the galaxy ever turns against you, you will not stand alone." He nodded, unsure what to say. Years passed. Humanity grew stronger but not louder. Their reputation became something rare and unsettling. They were known as those who would help first and ask questions later. Those who did not need to know who you were to stand between you and danger. The princess eventually took her place as heir once more. She ruled with patience and memory. She never forgot what it felt like to be ignored, to be small, to be safe only because strangers chose kindness. In her court, rank mattered less. Service mattered more. Statues were raised across the empire, but not of queens or generals. They were of ordinary human figures standing between others and the dark. When the queen grew old and her time came, the princess, now ruler, knelt beside her just as the queen once knelt before her. "You changed the galaxy," the queen whispered. "No," the daughter replied. "Humans did, I just survived long enough to see it." Long after both queens were gone, the story remained, not of power, not of crowns, but of a quiet alien princess, a group of human soldiers, and the moment the galaxy learned that humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons, but its refusal to look away. And that was why, when the queen fell to her knees and wept, the universe listened.